Welcome back to Max Motorsports Technologies. I've got my wrench hand. If you have your wrench hand, smash that subscribe button so we can get on with the video. And if you don't have your wrench hand, smash it anyways so we can get on with the video. So I really hope you guys enjoy this video for two reasons. I always want you to join my videos so that they can help you because I work hard on putting these up. And then the second reason is this is the second time I've made this video because the first time I accidentally deleted all my files. Pretty much all of them. There's a few left, but I can't make a video of those last few. So I hope this totally helps you guys fix whatever you need to and get your ideas that you need to. All right, let's make this epic. 1, 2, 3, and it is this Ski-Doo MXZ Rotax 600 4-stroke 600 Ace Rev XP. Beautiful clean sled, awesome, so quiet, clutch is geared so it takes right off as soon as you push that throttle. Great sled to have in here today. What I need to fix, which I've already figured out the problem, but I'm going to go through my problems with you, is the plug-in that is right here that you can plug stuff into. Plug your light on the other side here. This is the light that plugs into this. So we need to get this fixed so he can have his light back so he doesn't have to put up his hand when he's the last one in the group or wherever he is in the group. He's got this light working again. So let's go through how you can fix yours or how you can fix this 12-volt charger here. We can't do that yet without doing some B-roll. Let's roll in. Alright, so first we're gonna back this in and get it up on the lift, and then we can get working on this thing, tear it apart. Alright, as you can see, the MXZ is in here, and we're going to start tearing it apart. Let's get into it. Alright, first things first, before you think I'm going to tear all this apart, I'm going to tear some of it apart. I don't want to tear apart too much though because I've already done it, and it can be kind of a big process, and mine's all fixed. So basically, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start taking off the side panels. So there's two little clips here, and you just pull those open, and then grab it up here, and then you pop it back. Now the next thing to do is pull these little tabs up that are right in here. So basically, you don't even have to push the tabs up. Basically, they go, I can't remember if they go up and down first. Let's see, there they go, up. And then you pull it out the bottom, and then you pull this thing out. So simple as that. You got your side panel out right there, and then the same thing with the other side. So any snowmobile should be very similar to this. Exhaust is going to be placed here. Your battery, if you have electric start, is going to be placed there. Just watch out if you've been riding, the exhaust will be hot. So right in here, you've got all your fuses. So in these two boxes, you've got your fuses. All you got to do is click this little button and pull the cap right off right there. There's your fuses there. It should be all labeled right on the top, as you can see there. So I think the first thing I would do if your 12-volt right here is broken or not working, one thing to make sure, if your snowmobile is a 4-stroke, remember you got to start the machine up and push in the throttle to make sure it's working, okay? So you can't just leave it idling because the idle is too low, won't disperse electricity throughout the machine except if it needs to. Unless your charger is hooked right to the battery. So make sure you're revving your engine up a little bit to testing it to see if you fixed it or not. First things first, before we start getting into stuff that's too deep in here, pull open, find your fuse to your this thing here. It could have an independent one up in the line, the electricity line. And another thing to check for is, check to make sure your thing isn't hooked right to the battery, your charger here. Because if it is, make sure your battery's not dead. Because if your battery's dead, yes, it probably won't work. And if it is attached right to your battery, you shouldn't even have to start the machine to test it. It should turn right on if you have a plug into it. Okay, now first things first, if your 12-volt charger is hooked into your fuses and hooked into the same way as the electricity as most everything else is, it's probably going to come to a fuse in here. So find it on the box, which is, it should say like heat accessories or plugins, whatever you have on there on your fuse box there. So let's first test if your fuse isn't blown because that's a very easy fix here. So basically what I did to test if the fuse works or not is I took the fan fuse out because it's an option. So find it, make sure it has the same ampage as the heat accessories one. So here's my heat accessories one, it has 15 amps. And then here's my fan, it's 15 amps. So what I did is I took out the fan one and put it into my heat accessories one. And if that works after that, then your fuse is gone. So then you can just go pick up a quick fuse at your auto parts store or wherever you're gonna get it. Otherwise, if it doesn't work still, then your fuse isn't gone and it's something else. So as far as I know, this one right here was added after it was bought, because the hole where the 12-volt charger goes into is kind of a messy cut, and I don't expect a dealer to be making a messy cut if they're hired to do it. So mine is probably independently done, and the wires are independent, although they are all wrapped up inside each other, and yours maybe too, wrapped in like electrical tape in this tubing here. So if everything's in there, you might be better off sending it to a dealer without ripping all that apart, getting into all that, and maybe not even being able to fix it. So make sure, if they're all bound in here and the few things I'm going to show you don't work, unless you have another quick thing to check that I'm not covering, then you might be better off sending it to a dealer. So here's what was wrong with mine. And just check yours to make sure it's not the same as this and this is the same problem. You might not have noticed it because it's so small. But right here we have a ground wire, and this is to your heat accessories, or at least to the 12-volt charger there. So if this isn't grounded, you're not going to have power. So if you don't have power, this could be a problem. And it's very easy to test. All you have to do is touch it, pretty much any metal part on the sled. So I can just bring it over here and touch it to the steel over there and test it. And this is how I'll test it. So here I'll bring it over to here and just touch into that, and I'll start. So now all I have to do is touch this to here, to the steel over there, and then rev my sled up, because revving it up is an important thing. So let's test mine. So on here there's a little red light, and that is that dot right there. Right there, that's gonna light up as soon as you got power. So if you don't have that, you may have to plug it into something to test. But let's rev it up and see if mine turns on. So as you can see, mine's lighting right up. So I got power, and that's my problem. So one thing to make sure before you go doing all this stuff to your sled is make sure it's not your cord that's broken here. So if you can plug it into your car or another snowmobile, and if that light doesn't come on, then your cord is broken. If it does come on, then your cord's fine. Which I tested mine, and that's not the problem. Obviously, we know what my problem is, but check your fuse, check the grounds there, and then if it's independent like this one is and put an after, then just you can take all the wiring apart and follow the wiring, make sure there's not a rip or anything in it. But I guess the box up here could be another problem right here. So what you can do is there's a little nut underneath there, and you can unscrew that, pull this whole harness out right here, and make sure all the wires and connections under there. There is a couple of joints, I already looked, underneath here, so make sure those are all tight and one didn't come off. That's another thing you can check. So basically pull your side panels off. If you can pull this top up, in fact I'll show you how to do that right now. So it's not too hard, you just grab up in these corners, push up, pull them out, and that pops right off. So to pull that off, and then there's screws placed around here, there's one up in there, there's more all up on the sides of this. You're gonna undo those. So to take this whole top off right here, you just have to take that off. I had to put mine back on. Then you also have to pull these wings off. So these are fairly simple. There's a couple screws up in here that you gotta take out, and then they just rip right off and pull out of there. Don't be scared to pull on them, they shouldn't break. And then my advice, I had to do this to get them back in, is put a little oil on it. You can do like adhesive oil, or you can just do, I just did like regular motor oil. Anything that'll grease it to help it get it back in there, but you probably won't be able to get it back in without putting some sort of oil on there. So pull off this side, and this side to make it easier to get up in here. You know, if you're gonna be working and you wanna figure out your problem, take everything off, except that the only part that'll be on pretty much still is this area here. Now, you can either leave this just dragging so you can kind of pick it up and look under there, or you can take the whole thing off. Now, to take it off, there's two little tabs up here on the top of the speedometer here, and all you have to do is stick something small up in there and pop that out, unplug your speedometer, and that'll take this all off. So you need to get your speedometer and your tachometer out of there, and your little screen there. Unplug those, take them out, and then you can fully take this off, which will help you get up in there. So give yourself space, because one mistake I made is these snowmobiles, these Ski-Doos, I don't know why they changed them, but really you can't get into them very easily. And especially if you want to get up in the top there, take all this off, get rid of it. And no, you can't take just this part off. This is attached to all this. So yes, you will need to take all this off, and it'll make it a lot easier to get in there. Then you can check connections, make sure there's no independent fuses. Otherwise, they also do make hooks to the battery, like I said. Now that kind, you should be able to tell if you have that kind because you won't have to start the machine. It'll just, you could plug in a phone, anything you really want, and it'll work. So make sure if you have that, that could be what's also draining your battery. If you have that and you're leaving something plugged into this, or any heating accessories that are attached to that. So make sure if you do have it that's hooked right to the battery, everything's unplugged. Even the cord, you know, especially if you have my light that I have on here, to unplug the cord. Make sure you're not losing power that way because that can really put some stress on your batteries. Alright, so a little recap. So check your fuse, check your ground wire there. If it's not that, and your wires are all bound together, you can look around, make sure connections are good, pull all that paneling off, and check your connections right underneath it. Check to make sure it's not your cord that's bad, but be careful because you really don't want to get into something too deep. Even I didn't want to get into something too deep, and I was just debating on sending it right to the dealer or mechanic shop because you really got to be careful you don't get into something and then forget how to put it back together, and then you're stuck with this strewn apart sled all over the place. So stick with doing the small stuff. Have fun. Hope you enjoyed the video. Also, if you want me to make any more videos on something, and it's something I can explain without having a sled or anything to show you with, then post in the comments. Please subscribe, please give this video a like, ask me any questions, put them in the comments. I pretty much covered everything I know here, but if you have any questions, maybe I can answer them. So throw them in the comments, and have a great day. And also, before we go, happy motorsporting from Max's Motorsports.